Welcome to 100 Yards Football. Today I have my NFL legend video. It's Claude Humphrey, the Atlanta Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles, and Tennessee State University. If you like the video this morning, please come and share it. I'm your host, Vincent Turner. And man, it's an honor, it's a pleasure to be doing this video on one of the greatest football players in Atlanta Falcons history. And think about this, as we get ready to kick off the NFL season, the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons, his name is Arthur Smith. And he was born in my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee, the 901. And the gentleman that I have on the stream, Claude Humphrey, is from the 901. Let me tell you a little story. When you grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, from an athletic standpoint, is more or less a basketball city. A lot of people don't know a lot of great players that came out of the city of Memphis. Well, I think when I was looking at my information on Claude Humphrey the other evening, I said, you know what? He's the only Hall of Fame player that's made the Pro Football Hall of Fame that's out of my hometown. So I would consider him the greatest football player out of the city of Memphis. And there's been some great ones, from Michael Orr to Jesse Wilburn, the Ontario Poe, the Duke Calhoun, the Kevin Austin, the Darrell Nelson, the Kevin Mallon, Glenn Boyd, Danny Hurd, Robert Livingston, Raymond Buggs, Mark Hopper, Xavier Cook, Carlton Peoples, Mark Studaway, Cleo Pete, the great Oscar Reed, Turdale Militant, the late great Charles Greenhill, my man from my area, Jerry Knowlton, Eric Ferris, Richard Master Blaster Madison, Barry Wilburn. I just mentioned his father, Jesse Wilburn. Barry, Super Bowl champion with the Washington Redskins out of Melrose High School, Orange Mound in the house. Then you got Brian Ingram, Jesse Briggs, Ricky Palmer from Carver High School, Winston Ford, Eric Harris, Keith Simpson, Xavier Cook, the gentleman that I first started watching playing high school football at the age of 7 years old, Philip Jett, that's also out of Hamilton High School. There's been so many great football players, but Claude Humphrey is the best who's ever done it out of the city of Memphis, Leicester High School. But what I'm going to remember Claude Humphrey, as I tell this story, as a 6-year-old, 1966, my father used to take me and my sisters at the time to go see Tennessee State play up there in Nashville, Tennessee. And my baby sister was a baby at the time, Stephanie. And what I remember, Claude Humphrey was a sophomore on that team. But he was one of the best players on the team. That team was in the Midwest Athletic Conference. And they went 10-0 that year. They became the Black College National Champions. And that team outscored their opponents 410 points to 51 points. But over a 3-year period, they put 23 players in the NFL. From 1966 to 1968, Nolan Smith, Eldridge Dickey, Ricky Davis, Bill Tucker, Johnny Robinson, the great Jimmy Marcellus, who started as a rookie in the Super Bowl for the Kansas City Chiefs in 1970, Jim Carter, Eugene Bowens, Elbert Drango, King Dunlap I, Tim Carter, Leon Johnson, Tommy Davis, Leon Moore, Harold Rice, Bob Shannon, Harry Carpenter, and the young man that was playing defensive end out of Leicester High School, Claude Humphrey. I'm always going to remember him being part of that football team, and I always say this. In 1966, you had 3 teams. You had Notre Dame, you had Alabama, and you had Notre Dame, Alabama, and Michigan State. And those 3 teams had some very talented players, but I would have put that Tennessee State team up against that teams right there. And I guarantee you they would have mopped the field with them. That's right. But overall, Claude Humphrey, he went into the 1968 draft. Larry Zonka, Ron Yeri, Curly Culp, Ken Stabler, Charlie Sanders, Art Shell, Evan Bethea, Marvin Briscoe, Jimmy Ray, Rocky Bly was in that draft. But the young man went 3rd overall, Mr. Humphrey, to the Atlanta Falcons. And this is what's really amazing to me. I live here in Douglasville, Georgia, which is 30 miles west of downtown Atlanta. And I hear all these Atlanta Falcons fans and all these radio shows talking about all the great Falcons players. But I rarely hear them mention Claude Humphrey. He played with the Falcons, and they didn't win when he was there. Later on in his career, he played with the Eagles, and they went to the Super Bowl in 1980. But they don't mention him as being one of the greatest football players in Atlanta Falcons history. They don't mention the skill set he had as a defensive end when he came in the league in 1968. The instincts, A+. The explosive leverage, A+. The lateral movement, A+. The tackling ability, A+. Being aggressive as a defensive end, A+. The burst and acceleration, A+. The initial quickness, A+. Hold a point, a strength, A+. And the pass rushing ability, A+. And the power rush, A+. Because that's why Mr. Humphrey got 130 career sacks, 11 forced fumbles, 2 safeties, 2 interceptions. That's why he's inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2014 from my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee. 3rd overall pick in the NFL draft in 1968. Small college All-American 3 years in a row at Tennessee State, first team. NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1968. 6-time Pro Bowler. 5-time first team All-Pro. Owner's organization in a team that did not win with the Atlanta Falcons. And then being the mainstay. And I'm going to leave you with this today here on 100 Yards of Football. We talk about all these great defenses that's been in the National Football League, right? From the Baltimore Ravens with Ray Lewis to the Dallas Cowboys in the mid-90s with Russell Maryland, Tony Tolbert, great defensive line, Charles Haley. Then we talk about the Washington Redskins when they had Dexter Manley and Charles Mann. So many great defenses that's played in this league, but nobody mentioned the 1977 Atlanta Falcons defense. The Grits Blitz. They went 7-7 that year. And Claude Humphrey was the mainstay, as I mentioned. Only 129 points allowed that year. NFL record for points in the season, a 14-game season. This is a mind-boggling stat right here. 3,242 yards of total offense that the defense allowed. They allowed only 1,300 passing yards the whole season and allowed only 9 points a game. Head coach Leland Bennett, Jerry Glanville, defensive secondary coach. And that team was led by Claude Humphrey, that defense. They had Jeff Morrow, Roland Lawrence, Robert Penaway from Grambling State University, and Dewey McClain. That's why today I'm very proud to be out of the city of Memphis, Tennessee, the 901. Claude Humphrey, Atlanta Falcons legend, Tennessee State legend. See, I'm going to break it down to you before I end the video today. See, there's a writer, not calling his name, first initial start with a D. Then there's other people that have other shows, and they talk about the greatest Falcons, Matt Ryan, put him at the top of the list. Tony Nobis, they put him at the top of the list. Jesse Tugger was a great football player, no question about it. Our own Bobby Butler, that's a member here at 100 Yards Football. But in my mind, my vote, you better have Claude Humphrey in the top 5 as the greatest Falcon ever. The 901, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm always going to be proud of what he done. And the greatest football player that's ever came out of the city of Memphis. If you like the video today, please come in and share it. I surely appreciate it here at 100 Yards Football. Special thanks to my producer this morning, Mr. Jeremiah Long. Y'all be blessed here on 100 Yards of Football.